Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We welcome any of the responses afterwards as well. Well, I now yield to myself, and appreciate our witnesses being here, appreciate this topic. I think it's fair to say that there's broad agreement that Congress must lead on this. Professor Smith, I'll give you a little asterisk that states can play a role as well, and I think that's a worthy conversation. And I think the real question isn't whether or not we should lead, but how we should lead without sacrificing data privacy, without sacrificing transparency, without sacrificing innovation. And it's not careful, the federal government can clamp down on innovation. And with that in mind, I'd kind of like to turn to the data privacy part of this. Dr. Peña, I was in Los Angeles this weekend, and I noticed with some awe the number of your vehicles that I saw. Do you know roughly off the top of your head how many you would have, like in a market like in Los Angeles, how many vehicles?
I don't know, don't have exact number for you, but there's a few hundred vehicles down there.
Yeah, enough that you see them on almost every corner. Do you know per vehicle how many cameras are part of that?
We have, I think, 29 cameras approximately.
29. Are any of those internal?
Oh yeah, we do have cameras internally to help our riders when they need it.
Sure. So if you take 29 cameras and you times it by a couple hundred vehicles, the potential for data collection, that was my first impression when I saw that vehicle go by with those cameras, is the amount of data that potentially could be collected is staggering. And so I think my first question for you, and then Mr. Morave, is like, what internal policies do you currently have for data privacy?
We have strong privacy protections for our riders. We don't share any personally identifiable information. And when we are driving, we collect information to make our Waymo driver better. That is the only purpose of collecting data as we drive through our cities.
So as a former mayor, I would often be approached if somebody who had an accident and they wanted to go get the traffic information from our recordings on the lights. Is that a scenario that's possible where law enforcement's going to come to you and say, hey, you were going by this intersection, share with us your recordings of what happened at that intersection?
Senator, we would only comply with a valid legal order. And even at that point, we will review it to ensure that is not too broad. And if we believe it's too broad, we can object as well.
Okay. Mr. Morave.
Yeah, similar to what Mr. Peña said, we do collect a bit of data. We have only 8 or 9 cameras in our vehicles today. All that data is for our consumers, as I mentioned before, as an opt-in policy, but it is aggregated and anonymized when it comes through to our servers for review. And to your point about whether or not we comply with federal or state authorities for requests for data, actually Tesla has been doing that for almost 15 years now with our vehicles and the recordings that they take both in our event data recorders and our cameras whenever there is a pertinent legal order to do so.
Yeah, and I think that's, I don't want to overstate that point with complying with law enforcement. I think more my point is the vast amount of data, particularly with 29 cameras collecting through a community, and have we really thought through that data and what to do with it? And Mr. Farrer, I kind of turn to you as an industry. Is the industry ready for this data privacy question? And are you prepared, or is industry prepared with future legislation to discuss how we deal with data privacy?
Senator Curtis, thank you very much. And I think that Mr. Peña articulated very well what's the industry standard, which is that you would need to get a valid order from a law enforcement agency or court in order to comply with that. And if it was appropriately overbroad, that would be something that the company would certainly evaluate. And I would say that we are very eager to participate as Congress, as this committee takes on future data privacy discussions. We absolutely want to be a part of that process.
Yeah, and I would point out we've got good actors at the table today, but as industry grows, you'll have people who may not take good care of that data. You may have data breaches. And I just think it's something that's very important for us to consider. We talked just briefly before the hearing about Utah. Utah would love to be a leader on this. We have the Olympics coming. We talked a lot about safety. Could you briefly just discuss traffic congestion and how a state like Utah might use autonomous vehicles to deal with less traffic on the roads and the impact that that could have on a state like Utah.
Absolutely, Senator, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of your state. As I told you, I've been there many times, and I will say that Utah is one of the 26 states that has an AV deployment statute, so you're very well positioned to take advantage of this, including for the upcoming Olympics. In terms of traffic congestion, what we're really trying to do is to give more transportation options. So in many cases, for example, in Salt Lake, this may be an elegant solution for moving people through city centers in a more effective way in some sort of shared use vehicle. And that's something that, on a city-by-city basis, we're trying to give new optionality.
Good. I've used up my time, and I'll yield to our ranking member.